Hi boys and girls, it's Show back with another video. Tonight really wanted to discuss Jack Grealish's performance against RB Leipzig. Him as a player really, maybe what we think he's going to accomplish at Man City and potentially England as well when it comes to the Qatar World Cup. So let's just crack on with that one. So yeah, just wanted to really talk about Super Jack. I think I've got a lot of City friends, and they're probably waxing lyrical to anyone that they know about their boy Jack Grealish. I think it was massive for him to leave Aston Villa. We all knew Premier League wide. I think certainly when sort of the back end of the season before last, when he managed to keep Aston Villa from being relegated, it was just carrying them in performances. Even if he didn't get a goal and an assist, the amount of sort of yards he covered with the ball, the amount of free kicks he won higher up the pitch, really sort of key moments in the game. And to get a goal to cap that off at the defining moments, scored against West Ham on the final day of the season to get that vitally important draw to keep them up, sort of cemented his legacy at Aston Villa, I think. I think as from a United fan's perspective, part of me hoped that they would get relegated. That would obviously lessen his overall price tag, and then maybe United might have gone in for him last summer. But obviously that wasn't meant to be. But can't really complain. The following season, he then comes up with, like, first half of the season, ridiculous numbers. The stats were just off the charts. Sort of the top of every sort of a major attacking category in terms of chances created, in terms of successful dribbles, the amount of dribbles, obviously fouls won, 2 seasons running, dominant display there, well over 100 free kicks won, and he only played 3/4 of the season last year, and it's very, very much important to his game in terms of getting players yellow carded, especially key players that might be defending him, and also just getting those key free kicks in key areas, taking the sting out of games as well. It is a skill, and if you watch him closely, the vast majority of them are free kicks. What obviously he does is he deliberately invites the challenge and plays the ball off in the last second, knowing exactly what he's doing, knowing exactly when to give it. And it often just leads to him getting a late challenge into him. So he's one of those players, and he's a bit divisive really. Like, you love him or hate him depending on whether you're watching a neutral game or whether he's against your club, or obviously playing for your club. He's one of those players that you're gonna absolutely pan every time you see him if he's doing those antics against you. I can imagine him against like a team like Burnley, the fans at Turf Moor, and they'd just be absolutely digging into him every time. Tarkowski challenges, and him just going down at the slightest bit of contact. But I think overall in his game, I think going to England very much improved him, and a lot of people probably think, Gareth Southgate, how much does he actually develop these players? Is he a bit more like the national version of an Ole Gunnar Solskjaer, a bit of like an arm round the shoulder, sort of the golden retriever type of effect, that makes everyone happy. I think what Southgate has clearly brought to Jack Grealish's game is, it was an early sort of bedding in period of him trying to play the ball a bit quicker. I think the criticism of him from a sort of a footballing perspective, and what I guess sort of Mason Mount fans were mainly sort of saying made him better than Jack as of last season, was the fact that Grealish needs the ball all the time, can't affect the game enough off the ball. And then when he gets the ball, he very much needs to take several touches to make things happen, instead of maybe popping the ball quick and getting a 1-2 and that type of thing. So I think that criticism's fair to some extent. I think obviously Mount and Grealish are vastly different in the way they play, and so as you see now, with them both playing together for England down the left hand side, they really actually complement each other well, because Mount's the sort of busy player that likes to make run after run off the ball, and use that sort of like physicality in terms of his stamina and energy. And then Grealish is the player that's going to invite defences over to him, so he can invite players over, and he knows he's got a willing runner in Mount beyond him, and so it's incredibly effective as a sort of duo down the left hand side. But yeah, I think Grealish, I think definitely Southgate has brought that element to him, and then Pep Guardiola's only going to enhance that now, and maybe sort of push him harder in the sort of defensive side of the game. And if you sort of get a more well-rounded player, added to the genius that we'd experienced over the last couple of seasons anyway, his ability just to blow past players, like you say, so physically strong that he can, when he wants to run and when he wants to sort of break into a defensive line, he's not going to go down. He's going to ride those challenges because of his physicality. And then he has sort of that kind of really wieldy technique of bending things into the top corner. He's a really good long range volleyer. You've seen some goals for Aston Villa back in the past, back in the Championship as well, where he just fires them in from the edge of the box. Very much a scorer of nice goals, pretty goals. Needs to improve his ability to score the scrappy goals. I definitely think playing at City, well, we've seen that with Raheem Sterling. I mean, in contrast, Raheem Sterling very much not got the greatest shot technique when it comes from anything sort of beyond about 10 metres. So like he can learn a lot from Raheem and other players at City that have sort of benefited, Gundogan for example, from sort of making those runs deep into the box, getting around that sort of corridor of uncertainty. City are doing an incredible job of sort of breaking the lines on the wide areas to fizz one across goal, rarely in the air but actually along the ground. De Bruyne probably being the best exponent of that in probably the entire world, especially down the right hand side with those whipped crosses coming across that corridor. So if Grealish can get in there, very much a la his first goal for Man City that he scored against Norwich, I believe, where it just ricocheted off him, that's going to up his goal tally, and sort of make him seen around as a more valuable player, because we all know he's got the touches, the ability to draw players, break down teams. His assists are now getting right up there as well. He's always very much pass first, and I think he's reaching that stage in his career now where if he's going to develop, it'd be a detriment now to just constantly be looking for the pass. So in that RB Leipzig game, for instance, we saw him do the sort of standard Jack Grealish stuff, carry the ball at pace. All those kind of shimmies and drops of the shoulder invites the defender to sort of like maybe commit one way or the other, then he quickly shifts the other way. And then when he gets inside the box, I mean, I think, let's be honest, most people would have shot then, but you'll see that actually De Bruyne is completely free on the edge of the box as well. And you just think Jack Grealish might pass that up, give it to De Bruyne, but I think, stay in the City side, you've got to be making sort of decisive things happen. And that finish is certainly the way to go about it. But yeah, just very much impressed with the way he's sort of acclimatized to playing with better players all round. I think the sort of fear was, or the thing that was labelled with Jack Grealish was whether he could mould himself into a team where he doesn't have the ball as much. And I think what we're finding is that because his best position is down that left hand side, and he has a sort of a very special ability to use great vision down that left. Very much almost like he's that kind of 3-8 midfielder, except he's, instead of being in the middle, he's playing off the left. So it's a very sort of unique perspective in the way he sort of treats that left hand side, not sort of just a classic sort of pace merchant. Sort of reminded me a bit more in the Sancho vein than the Rashford vein, for example, of a winger. What's really, really good about that, though, is he has the ability to hug the touchline, likes to get right out on the line, not to use his pace in behind, but to create a bit of separation and obviously create space for others. And that is obviously really effective in a City side, because we see with Manchester City, they deliberately create rondos on one side of the pitch, like classic Pep Guardiola, to isolate Mahrez on the opposite side. Then quick long ball, with a purpose. It isolates Mahrez one-on-one with their fullback, and then obviously we know what one-on-one ability Mahrez has, can go both ways, has that like just very, very quick drop of the shoulder that he does, little sort of fake crosses and passes, and then goes back the other way. Grealish is very much the same, kind of has a similar dribbling style. You know, Mahrez, Grealish, both not express pace. But what it does is that previously they would have a winger on the other side who, would play within those rondos, but there's maybe a slight imbalance, you could argue, in terms of the way that the winger previously, whether it was Sterling or another player, they were trying to come inside too much at maybe the incorrect times in a Pep system. And I think now actually what you're finding is they're getting a very even balance in where Mahrez is standing and where Grealish is standing, creates sort of makes the pitch a lot bigger, and then allows their sort of key creative players like De Bruyne, like Bernardo, and Gundogan the ability to run through those channels through the middle. It affords them a lot of time on the ball. Because there's gaps appearing now with that space that's vacated from stretching the pitch as much as possible. So I think very much it's gone completely opposite way of a lot of sort of people's perspectives of Manchester City. I think Grealish is now very much first name or one of the first names in an England shirt now, and I think if he can sort of build his confidence, maybe get a goal in the next round of international fixtures, that'll hold him in good stead in sort of maybe sort of taking that kind of ownership and responsibility as I'm the big player in this team. And then you'll see the moments that we had in an Aston Villa shirt, except far more frequently, with a few more goals put in as well. His consistency just getting greater and greater and greater as he sort of enters his late 20s. So yeah, very, very good, very, very impressive, and that's only going to be a good thing for England. And all I can say to end on that is how disappointed I am that we have way too many wingers, and we could have had Jack Grealish if only Aston Villa had got relegated 2 seasons ago. Right, so that's going to do it for today's video. Thanks a lot for listening. Please like, comment, share, and subscribe, and I will see you in the next one. Ciao.